Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central today. Coming at you with another installment of Doc Ock at noon and 9. And today we are rounding the curve, coming around the bend, finishing off our story of the Queen of Sheba and her only son, Menelik, coming straight out of the Kebra Nagast, otherwise known as the Glory of the Kings, or also known as the Queen of Sheba and her only son, Menelik. All titles of the very same book, the same writings. These writings are over 1,000 years old, and we're bringing it to you right now, here in the present, for your perusal and enrichment, as well as just to give you another perspective on the Bible and some of the important stories in the Bible, like the one about the Queen of Sheba and her only son, Menelik. Of course, in the Bible, it's been presented to us as the story of Sheba and Solomon, but what's even more important is the story of Sheba and her only son, Menelik. And that's the story we're passing on to you this month. We've been reading this book from this book all month. So let's do a couple of little things here to get started. Number one, if you're watching this on Facebook, give us a like. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. And then go ahead and inform your neighbors, your friends, your family, your relatives, your enemies, everybody you know what they should be doing at this time of day in order to awaken the sleeping lion within. Awaken that sleeping lion within. Awaken their consciousness. We're trying to doing a little consciousness raising over here as much as we can. And sometimes it makes us a little bit brazen, but sometimes that's what it takes when you're trying to do some raising. See if I can get the right code in here. Oh, nope, I didn't. Almost did. Let's try it that way. Now. All right. So meanwhile, let's go ahead and read our proverb of the day. Proverb of the day is, he who does not shave you does not cut you. He who does not shave you does not cut you. Dubious prospect there, so that would mean if he does shave you, he could cut you, or he does cut you. Interesting. It's a good thing I don't get shaved too much around here. All right, yeah, because I'm not ready for any close shaves, so to speak. Absolutely. All right, now, let's see. Yeah, we got our slideshow all up and ready over here today. Let's see what we got going on right over there. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I've only got one here right now. All right, so here we go. Boom, shakalaka. And let's see where we left off. I think we left off on chapter 51. Let's see what was going on in chapter 51. See just what was going on. Yep, chapter 51. Here we go. How he said unto Zadok the priest, go and bring Zion. Go and bring, the priest said, go and bring the covering or clothing which is upon it. In other words, upon Zion. Bring the clothing or the covering which is upon Zion. And he said unto Zadok the priest, go bring that covering which is upon Zion, and take thee this covering which is better than that, and lay it over the two coverings which are below it. Now this covering was made of threads of the finest gold wire work, twisted together and hammered out into a pattern, and they were not woven like the threads of purple, and the 5 mice which were given to Zion, and the 10 figures of their shame, in other words, the emerods, which the nobles of the Philistines made for their redemption. Now on the fringes are figures of gold that came forth from the land of Cades, or is that Cades? Cades? I'll say Cades, which Moses in Sinai commanded should be made or worked in the fringe of the apparel of Aaron, his brother. Let's see if I can get this thing working this time. Shoot. Not going to work today. All right. Of Aaron, it should be made or worked in the fringe of the apparel of Aaron, his brother. That's the brother of Moses. Gather all these together in the covering of Zion, and give them to my son David. For his mother said in her message by Tamrin, her servant, give us some of the fringe of the covering of Zion, so that we may worship it, we and those who are in subjection unto us, and all our kingdom. And now give it to him, and say unto him, take and worship this covering of Zion. For thy mother sent a message concerning this, and had said unto thee thyself, give us some of the fringe of its covering, which we can worship, so that we may not, like the heathen, worship another god. And Zion, the tabernacle of the law of God, shall be unto thee a guide wheresoever thou art. Wheresoever thou art. But it must remain with us perpetually, although we have not paid it at all the honor which is its due. And you, although it be not with you, must honor it and revere it according to what is due to it and what is meet. For God said unto Eli by the mouth of Samuel the prophet, I wished you to remain, thou and thy father's house, to offer up incense to the tabernacle of my law, and to dwell before me for ever and ever. But now I have repented. I will turn my face away from thee, because thou hast treated my offerings with contempt, and hast preferred thy sons to me. And now him that honoreth me I will honor, and him that esteemeth me lightly I will esteem lightly, and I will destroy all thy seed. This he said, because the Levites had esteemed him lightly. And say unto him, take this covering of Zion, and this votive gift shall be in the place of it, and place it in thy sanctuary. And when thou takest an oath, and makest another to take an oath, swear thou, and make him to swear by it, so that thou dost not make mention of the names of other gods of the heathen. And when thou sacrificest, let thy face be towards us, and sacrifice to Jerusalem and the holy Zion. And when thou prayest, let thy face be towards Jerusalem, and pray towards us. How Zadok, chapter 52, how Zadok the priest departed. And Zadok the priest went and gave David the covering of Zion, and he delivered unto him all the commands which Solomon had spoken. And David the son of Solomon rejoiced because of this, and he marveled and held himself to be blessed exceedingly, and said, when the covering of the tabernacle of the law of God was committed to his charge, this shall be to me my lady. And Azariah answered and said before his father, thou rejoicest over the covering, but how very much more wilt thou rejoice over the lady of the covering? And his father said unto him, Verily, he rejoiceth over the lady of the covering, and he might subjugate all of us if he were not going to make his own country. And he said unto the king, Make now a covenant with me, that thou wilt give to this my son this possession for his lady and his sponsor and his protection, that he may guard it all the days of his life, for himself and for his seed after him, and that thou wilt give him tithe, and that thou wilt give him a city of refuge in thy kingdom, and also the tenth of the cities in all thy kingdom, and that he shall be unto thee priest and seer and prophet and teacher to thee and to thy seed after thee, and the anointer with oil of thy kingdom for thy children and thy children's children. And he said, I agree. And they struck. In other words, they made a covenant. And he received from his father the votive offering and the covering of Zion and a chain of gold. And they loaded the wagons and the horses and the mules in order to depart. And they set out on their journey prosperously. And they continued to travel on. And Michael, the archangel, marched in front, and he spread out his wings and made them to march through the sea as upon dry land. And upon the dry land he cut a path for them, and spreading himself out like a cloud over them, he hid them from the fiery heat of the sun. And as for the wagons, no man hauled his wagon, but he himself. In other words, Michael marched with the wagons, and whether it was men or horses or mules or loaded camels, each was raised above the ground to the height of a cubit. And all those who rode upon beasts were lifted up above their backs, to the height of one span of a man, and all the various kinds of baggage which were loaded on the beast, as well as those who were mounted on them, were raised up to the height of one span of a man, and the beasts were lifted up to the height of one span of a man, and everyone traveled in the wagons like a ship on the sea when the wind bloweth, and like a bat through the air when the desire of his belly urgeth him to devour his companions, and like an eagle when his body glideth above the wind. Thus did they travel. There was none in front and none behind, and they were disturbed neither on the right hand nor on the left hand. Chapter 53, how the wagon was given to Ethiopia. And they halted by Gaza, the city of the mother of the king, which Solomon the king had given to the queen of Ethiopia when she came to him. And from there they came in one day to the border of Gebez, in other words, Egypt, the name of which is Mesrin. And when the sons of the warriors of Israel saw that they had come in one day a distance of 13 days' march, and that they were not tired or hungry or thirsty, neither man nor beast, and that they all felt that they had eaten and drunk their fill, these sons of the warriors of Israel knew and believed that this thing was from God. And they said unto their king, Let us let down the wagons, for we have come to the water of Ethiopia. This is the Takazi, which floweth down from Ethiopia, and watereth the valley of Egypt. And they let down their wagons there, and set up their tents. And the sons of the warriors of Israel went and drove away all the people. And they said unto David, their king, Shall we tell thee a matter? Canst thou hold it secret? And the king said unto them, Yes, I can hold it secret. And if you will tell it to me, I will never let it go forth or repeat it to the day of my death. And they said unto him, The sun descended from heaven and was given on Sinai to Israel. And it became the salvation of the race of Adam, from Moses to the seed of Jesse. And behold, it is with thee by the will of God. It is not through us that this hath been done, but by the will of God. It is not through us that this hath been done, but by the will of him that fashioned it and made it hath this happened. We wished, and God hath fulfilled our wish. We agreed concerning it, and God made it good. We held converse concerning it, and God performed. We meditated upon it, and God devised the plan. We spoke, and God was well pleased. We directed our gaze, and God directed it rightly. We meditated, and God hath justified. And now God hath chosen thee, and is well pleased with thy city, to be the servant of the holy and heavenly Zion, the tabernacle of the law of God, and it shall be to thee a guide forever and forever, to thee and thy seed after thee, if thou wilt keep his command and perform the will of the Lord thy God. For thou wilt not be able to take it back, even if thou wishest, and thy father cannot seize it, even if he wisheth. For it goeth of its own free will whithersoever it wisheth, and it cannot be removed from its seat if it doth not desire it. And behold, it is our Lady, our mother, and our salvation, our fortress, and our place of refuge, our glory, and the haven of our safety to those who lean upon it. And Azariah made a sign to Elmiah, and he said unto him, Go, beautify her, and dress our lady, so that our king may see her. And when Azariah had said this, King David was perturbed, and he laid both hands upon his breast, and he drew breath 3 times, and said, Hast thou in truth, O Lord, remembered us in thy mercy, the castaways, the people whom thou hast rejected, so that I may see thy pure habitation, which is in heaven, the holy and heavenly Zion? With what shall we require the Lord in return for all the good things which he hath done for us, there being with him no glory and praise? He hath crowned us with his grace, so that we may know upon earth his praise, and may all serve him according to his greatness. For he is the good one to his chosen ones, and unto him belongeth praise forever and forever. And King David rose up and skipped about like a young sheep, and like a kid of the goats that had sucked milk in abundance from his mama, even as his grandfather David rejoiced before the tabernacle of the law of God. He smote the ground with his feet, and rejoiced in his heart, and uttered cries of joy with his mouth. And what shall I say of the great joy and gladness that were in the camp of the king of Ethiopia? One man told his neighbor that they smote the ground with their feet like young bulls, and they clapped their hands together and marveled, and stretched out their hands to the heavens. And they cast themselves down with their faces to the ground, and they gave thanks unto God in their hearts. And that's where we'll leave off, right about there. And as you can see, you see the cover of the book there. That's the cover of an ancient copy, a handwritten copy of the Kebra Nagast. That's what it looks like, because it's all done on parchment, all out of leather, animal skin, written right on the animal skin. So, yes, I hope you were able to follow that story. If not, if you had any questions, feel free to make comments, and I'll try to answer the questions after I end the live stream. If you had questions or you wanted to chat during the live stream, you can do that also. Up until recently, I haven't started actually responding to the live chats, but I am open to that. So the more I see people live chatting, the more I'm willing to respond to your queries as we progress through the reading. So you can have questions answered as I'm doing the reading, if you would like. Meanwhile, you know what to do. It's that time to go ahead and give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And then go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts station. To the Tubular Black Facts channel. And where do you do that at? You do that right below. So look for the red button below. Hit that button, and maybe it's not red, maybe it'll be blue. But there's a button below that says subscribe. Hit that button. And go ahead and get on board this train, because the train has already left the station, but you still got time. If you run fast, you can still catch this train, because it's going to take us a minute. It's taking us a minute to build up a full head of steam. Meanwhile, we're clocking out here. Look for us again tonight at 9 p.m. as we continue the story of Abraham, Anabal, and the Raiders of the Sands. Abraham, Anabal, and the Raiders of the Sands. Look for us to continue that story tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow with more on the Queen of Sheba and her only son, Menelik. Peace out with justice, because anything less than that disgusts us.